जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय जमुनातीर वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय जमुनातीर वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय We'll say the prayers together. Narayana namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiret Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayashu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. My name is Tulsi Saki Devi Dasi. This is my first official Bhagavatam class. They say the person who learns the most in any classroom is the teacher. So I hope to learn from all of you, with all of you, from the Bhagavatam. So today we're reading from Canto 4, Chapter 30, verses 1 through 21, and the focus is on 7. So we'll read all the translations, 1 through 20, and then we'll come back to verse 7. And we can start like with two translations at a time.
Vidura inquired from Maitreya, "O Brahmana, you formerly spoke about the sons of Prachinabhari and informed me that they satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting a song composed by Lord Shiva. What did they achieve in this way?" My dear Bharaspatya, what did the sons of King Bharisat, known as the Prachetas, obtain after meeting Lord Shiva, who was very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of liberation? Certainly, they were transferred to the spiritual world, but apart from that, what did they attain within this material world, either in this life or in other lives?
The great sage Maitreya said, "The sons of King Prachinabhari, known as the Prachetas, underwent severe austerities within the seawater to carry out the order of their father. By chanting and repeating the mantras given by Lord Shiva, they were able to satisfy Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of 10,000 years of severe austerities performed by the Prachetas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to reward their austerities, appeared before them in his very pleasing form. This appealed to the Prachetas and satisfied the labor of their austerities."
The personality of Godhead appearing on the shoulder of Garuda seemed like a cloud resting on the summit of the mountain known as Meru. The transcendental body of the personality of Godhead was covered by attractive yellow garments, and its neck was decorated with the jewel known as the Kaustubha Mani. The bodily effulgence of the Lord dissipated all the darkness of the universe. The Lord's face was very beautiful, and his head was decorated with a shining helmet and golden ornaments. The helmet was dazzling and was very beautifully situated on his head. The Lord had 8 arms, which each held a particular weapon. The Lord was surrounded by demigods, great sages, and other associates. These were all engaged in his service. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. Garuda appeared to be an inhabitant of the planet known as Kinara Loka.
Around the neck of the personality of Godhead hung a flower garland that reached to his knees. His 8 stout and elongated arms were decorated with that garland, which challenged the beauty of the goddess of fortune. With a merciful glance and a voice like thunder, the Lord addressed the sons of King Prachnabarishat, who were very much surrendered unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me."
The Lord continued, "Those who remember you every evening of every day will become friendly with their brothers and with all other living entities. Those who will offer me the prayers composed by Lord Shiva, both in the morning and in the evening, will be given benedictions by me. In this way, they can both fulfill their desires and attain good intelligence."
Because you have with pleasure accepted within your hearts the orders of your Father and have executed those orders very faithfully, your attractive qualities will be celebrated all over the world. You will have a nice son who will be in no way inferior to Lord Brahma. Consequently, he will be very famous all over the universe, and the sons and grandsons generated by him will fill the 3 words.
O sons of King Prachinabaristat, the heavenly society girl named Pramlaka kept the lotus-eyed daughter of Kandu in the care of the forest trees. Then she went back to the heavenly planet. This daughter was born by the coupling of the Apsara named Pramloka with the sage Kandu. Thereafter the child, who was left to the care of the trees, began to cry in hunger. At that time the king of the forest, namely the king of the moon planet, out of compassion placed his finger, which poured forth nectar, within the child's mouth. Thus the child was raised by the mercy of the king of the moon.
Since all of you are very much obedient to my orders, I ask you to immediately marry that girl who is so well qualified with beauty and good qualities. According to the order of your father, create progeny through her. You brothers are all of the same nature, being my devotees, an obedient son of your father. Similarly, that girl is also of the same type and is dedicated to all of you. Thus both the girl and you, the sons of Prachinabarishat, are on the same platform, being united on a common principle.
The Lord blessed all the Prachetas, saying, "My dear princess, by my mercy you can enjoy all the facilities of this world as well as the heavenly world. Indeed, you can enjoy all of them without hindrance and with full strength for 1,000,000 celestial years. Thereafter you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me and be freed from material contamination. At the time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets as well as in the hellish planets, you will return back home. No, you will return home back to Godhead."
Those who are engaged in auspicious activities and devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary of all activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, when one acts, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes life, always engaged in the topics of the Lord. Even though such a person may be participating in family life, he is not affected by the results of his actions. Always engaged in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee, makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, Brahmabhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to the Brahmabhuta situation.
One more, 21.
The great sage Maitreya said, after the personality of Godhead spoke thus, the Prachetas began to offer him prayers. The Lord is the bestower of all success in life and is the supreme benefactor. He is also the supreme friend who takes away all miserable conditions experienced by a devotee. In a faltering voice, due to ecstasy, the Prachetas began to offer prayers. They were purified by the presence of the Lord who was before them face to face.
We can go back to verse 437, verse 7. And we'll do the Sanskrit. Pina yatasta bhujamandala madhya lakshmya Spardachriya parivrato vanamalayadya Barhishmata purusha ahasutan prapannan Parjanyanadharutaya sagranavaloka Pinayatashta bhujamandala madhya lakshmya Spardachriya parivrato vanamalayadya Barhishmata purusha ahasutan prapannan Parjanyanadharutaya sagranavaloka Please chant. Vina yatasta bhujamandala madhya lakshmya Spardachriya parivrato vanamalayadya Barhishmata purusha ahasutan prapanna Parjanyanadharutaya sagranavaloka Vinayatasta bhujamandala madhya lakshmya Spardachriya parivrato vanamalavadya Barhishmata purusha ahasutan prapannan Parjanyanadharutaya sagranavaloka Vinayatashta bhujamandala madhya lakshmya Svardachriya parivrato vanamalayadya Barhishmata purusha ahasutan prapannan Parjanyanadharutaya sagranavaloka can do the synonyms together. Pina, stout. Ayata, long. Ashta, 8. Bhuja, arms. Mandala, encirclement. Madhya, in the midst of. Lakshmya, with the goddess of fortune. Spardat, contending. Shriya, whose beauty. Parivrata, encircled. Vanamalaya, by a flower garland. Adya, the original personality of Godhead. Barishmata, of King Prachina Bari. Purusha, the supreme personality of Godhead. Aha, addressed. Sutan, the sun. Prapannan, surrendered. Parjanya, like a cloud. Nada, whose sound. Ritaya, by a voice. Sagrana, with mercy. Avaloka, his glancing. Translation. I'm going to read the translation of the couple of verses before and then go into this one. Actually, I'll just read this. Around the neck of the personality of Godhead hung a flower garland that reached to his knees. His 8 stout and long and elongated arms were decorated with that garland, which challenged the beauty of the goddess of fortune. With a merciful glance and a voice like thunder, the Lord addressed the sons of King Prachini Barishat, who were very much surrendered unto him. The word Adya in this verse is very significant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the origin even of Paramatma and Brahman. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14:27, Brahmano hi pratisthaham. The absolute truth begins with the impersonal Brahman, not with the impersonal Brahman, but with the original personality of Godhead Krishna. When Arjuna realized Krishna's greatness, he addressed him in this way: Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavam Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. You are the supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth and the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original. You are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. The Brahma Samhita also says, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. The Supreme Lord is not caused by anything anadi, but he is the cause of all causes. The Vedanta Sutra says, Janmadya Asya Yata. The absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. The absolute truth is described as Adi Purusha. The absolute truth is therefore a person and is not impersonal. Hare Krishna. So as I was reading these verses, all of them are so beautiful and their purports have so much in them to talk about. There were a few points that I wanted to discuss. The first one was hearing and reading about the beautiful form of the Lord. Actually, I would like to start with a mention about yesterday's class. I think it was, for me, quite a game changer to understand that we're working on purifying our subtle body and how critical it is to not cultivate near impressions for sense enjoyment. And we come to this life with a stockpile of desires that we're already working on, and so we really don't want to add to them. And so when we, how do we purify the subtle body? We purify the subtle body by hearing and reading about, one of the ways we can purify a subtle body is by hearing and reading about the beauty of the Lord. And hearing about the beauty of the Lord is very absorbing because this glorification comes from the heart of realized souls. When we have Krishna's darshan, it is a feast for our eyes. And we're also meditating on how beautifully the devotees have dressed Krishna. However, when we hear about the beauty, then this meditation is pleasing for our mind, and it touches our heart. So when we have darshan of Krishna and we are hearing about the beautiful form of Krishna, then the purification of the gross and subtle body happens. And we're also always encouraged to meditate on the prayers of the exalted devotees in our parampara to facilitate our meditation. So I wanted to read the verses 5, 6, and I think there's a 7 and 8 also describe the beauty of the Lord. Just again, and the 5. The personality of Godhead, appearing on the shoulder of Garuda, seemed like a cloud resting on the summit of the mountain known as Meru. The transcendental body of the personality of Godhead was covered by attractive yellow garments. His neck was decorated with a jewel known as Kaustubhamani. The bodily effulgence of the Lord dissipated all the darkness of the universe. The Lord's face was very beautiful, and his head was decorated with a shining helmet, the golden ornaments. The helmet was dazzling and was very beautifully situated on his head. The Lord had 8 arms, each of which held a particular weapon. The Lord was surrounded by demigods, great sages, and other associates. These were all engaged in his service. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. Garuda appeared to be an inhabitant of the planet known as Kinnaraloka. In the purport, generally, the Vishnu form is manifested with 4 hands, holding 4 objects, a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. However, here, Lord Vishnu is described as possessing 8 arms with 8 kinds of weapons. According to Veera Raghava Acharya, the conch shell and lotus flowers are also accepted as weapons. Since the Lord is the supreme controller, whatever is in his hand can be considered a weapon. 4 hands hold 4 kinds of weapons, and the extra 4 hands hold an arrow, bow, trident, and snake. Sri Veeraraghava describes the 8 weapons as Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, Sharanga, Shara, etc. Around the neck of the personality of Godhead hung a flower garland that reached to his knees. His 8 stout and elongated arms were decorated with that garland, which challenged the beauty of the goddess of fortune. With a merciful glance and a voice like thunder, the Lord addressed the sons of King Prachinabarishad, who were very much surrendered unto him. So I don't know if you can go on to the BBT media, and there's a couple pictures of this pastime, and you can bring it up on the screen. And as he's bringing up, the second point I wanted to discuss is verse talks about the Prachetas being friends, so and having a mood, common mood to serve. So the sweetness of friendships centered around Krishna consciousness is another point I wanted to bring out, because this sweetness is ever increasing. These friendships, they cross many boundaries, and when they're centered around Krishna, just like Krishna and his form and qualities are ever increasing, when our friendship is established on Krishna consciousness, the relationship is also ever increasing. In verse 8, it says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons of the King, I'm very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I'm so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me." Since the sons of Prachina Barishat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of Prachina Barishat was an individual soul, and they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. There was another point. There is only one goal: to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benedictions to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. So I would like to take this opportunity to glorify one of my friends in Krishna consciousness. Her name is Mother Pavaka. When I took to the process of Krishna consciousness, Mother Pavaka, who was a teacher for many years, she retired, and she was teaching in El Paso, Texas. And she moved to New Dwarka, LA. And because she was a seasoned devotee and she had retired, so she was in her 60s. But because she had just moved to New Dwarka, and New Dwarka is home to many exalted Prabhupada disciples, she had this mood of being a new devotee. And it was around the time that I was coming around in Krishna consciousness also. So by default, I had a mood of being a new devotee around. So we kind of gelled together in our mood of being a new devotee. And also, there was a service that we both liked to do. We liked to look at the form of the Lord. So Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish, they are the presiding deities of LA, and they are very beautiful. And we had a service of creating the what do you call it? The annual booklet that you do give to the devotees during Janmashtami, and so it's got a term. We had to make that booklet and design it basically, and we put a lot of different pictures of Rukmini Dwarkadish. And so our favorite service over the weekend was just going over hundreds of pictures of Rukmini Dwarkadish and just relishing their beauty up close, and then figuring out which picture of Rukmini Dwarkadish should we put. And there were just like 8 or 10 pages, but we relished that service of looking at the form of the deities up close so much that we would spend weekend after weekend just looking at the different pictures of the deities. And we also had a favorite dresser, Mother Gunavati, and so whenever she would dress, we would ask the pujari to take more pictures up close of the deities, and then again we would load it on our computer and then, look at the pictures of the deities. So one might say that, she was much older devotee, I was much younger, and, there wasn't much of a basis of friendship. But we became really close friends because we had a common mood and a common service that was very enlivening for both of us. And so if anybody would like to share at this point any of their friendships in Krishna consciousness which they find inspiring, or which brings out this point of, maybe the friendship may not be, so visible as, okay, these are good friends, but because of their service. Would anybody like to share? Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I guess just in my life, I first moved into ashram. I was 16, and everyone was maybe like 27, 28. And so I thought I'd have a really hard time like connecting with them or getting to know them or being friends with them. But yeah, I quickly experienced that you know, Krishna consciousness is so I don't know, it's just not based off the body. It's not based off of material experiences. And so also our relationships in Krishna consciousness aren't based off of that. It's like my best friends were like 30 years old, like 15 years older than me or something like that. So it's just cool to see how Krishna, anyways, I think, that's my only experience with that.
Does anybody else like to share?
Yeah, I'd like to glorify my friend Mandala Ram Prabhu. He's running the Govinda's restaurant in ISKCON, Ottawa. And I first started coming to the temple just because I wanted to go to the restaurant, basically. And I met him there, and he was serving. And he was treating me like a friend. He was treating me like an equal, even though I was just totally like a rascal at the time. But but he was, and he was so advanced, but he saw me as like a friend, or at least I saw him like that. And nowadays, the relationship I have with him, I see him as like my best friend, but I still see him as like my mentor, like my senior at the same time. So it's just like a beautiful relationship that we have. Hare Krishna.
Does anybody else like to share? Right. So there was another topic in here that I wanted to discuss. Devotional service is ever new. So in verse 20, always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, Brahmabhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to the Brahmabhuta situation. A devotee is inspired by the super soul within the heart to advance in devotional service in a variety of ways. The devotee does not feel hackneyed or stereotyped, nor does he feel that he is in a stagnant position. So this is also a very beautiful point. As stated in Kushalak Karmanam, those engaged in auspicious activities in devotional service are guided by the Super Soul, described in this verse as Kya, one who knows everything past, present, and future. The Super Soul gives instructions to the sincere, unalloyed devotees on how he can progress more and more in approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Jiva Goswami in this connection says that the Super Soul, the plenary expansion of a Personality of Godhead, exists in everyone's heart, but in the heart of the devotee, he reveals himself as ever increasingly new. Being inspired by him, the devotee experiences increased transcendental bliss in execution of devotional service. So when I took to Krishna consciousness in the first 5 years, I never read. I attended Bhagavatam class every day, but beyond that, I never read. I listened to lectures, but my obsession was with making garlands and making turbans for Jagannath and temple festivals and decorations. And then the children came along, so I couldn't go for Harinams. So then I got my services changed to, we were in Denver at that point in time, to sewing outfits for Gaur Purnima. And all winter long, which was very intense for me, I would sew the Gaur Purnima outfit, always meditating on spring and meditating on Gaur Purnima. And then we moved here because the kids needed to go to the Gurukul. And then COVID came along. And then I was so frustrated because we couldn't come to the temple. We couldn't associate and hear kirtans. We couldn't go to the festivals or sadhu sangha. So then I was, in my desperation, I picked up the harmonium and said, okay, if nobody else is going to chant, I'm going to sit and learn how to chant, and started having small little, sanghas at our home. And now finally, after all these years, my friend Manjari Gopika, who's not in class today, she said, well, I'm giving these Bhagavatam classes. Would you like to come? And I wanted to support my friend. And I was like, but how am I going to, find time in the morning? I have to cook and I have to finish my japa and I have to work. But I really wanted to support Manjari Gopika. And so I came for one class, and then I really liked it a lot, and then I started coming for her classes. And then I started coming for all the classes, and pretty soon I just couldn't stop coming for the Bhagavatam classes. And then I started padding it with Guru Puja, and then it kept going, and before you know, I've been attending a full morning program all over again, just like my beginning days in Krishna consciousness. But now I have taste for Srimad Bhagavatam, and thanks to the Krishna House format, I'm really relishing and appreciating Srimad Bhagavatam because it's in a format where I feel I can make progress. So the point I was trying to make is that over a period of these 18, 19 years of me trying to practice Krishna consciousness, my services have changed in so many ways, so many different forms. But all of these services are ever new, ever fresh. And even if you come back to something, it becomes so much more exciting, so much more interesting, because it is, service to Krishna, and He is ever new and ever fresh. So that's the beauty of devotional service, which is ever new and ever fresh. At this point, I would like to see if anybody would like to share their experiences in devotional service and share how, even if their service has changed or even if it was the same service, how. Let's go ahead.
I just appreciated your point in your own story that, even though after like 18, 19 years of practicing Krishna consciousness, you still feel that there's changes. You still feel that there's new challenges and new growth and new ways that you're advancing. So it's very encouraging to hear that, it's not just like, a plateau till like, you're 80 years old or something like that, but that your whole Krishna conscious life, there's going to be new services like you're talking about, and new, ways that you're going deeper, and new challenges that come up. And then when you get through it, you have a new taste for things and rediscovering old tastes. So yeah, thank you for the story.
Not exactly on this particular topic, I guess, but I just wanted to highlight the verse 8 even more than we already did, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons," and this is the first thing Lord Vishnu says when he comes. He says, "My dear sons of the king, I'm very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me." So I just really like this verse. This is a popular verse that devotees go to. Actually, Prabhupada Priya Prabhu at the Krishna House retreat, she chose this verse to speak to everybody from all the Krishna House North America, because it's very pleasing to the Lord when we cooperate, when we're nice to each other, when we respect each other. And even Srila Prabhupada, one of his last instructions was, "Your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate with each other." So I just wanted to highlight that point even more. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ajit Prabhu. Anybody else?
I'm really appreciating this point that our service changes and situations say it changes. This is the material world. It's always, and it's such a simple concept, but yet it's so powerful that if internally we're just situated that I'm a servant, let this come, let that come, let this change, let this move, but I'm always situated in that I am a servant of Krishna. And it just, I don't know, I'm kind of just like in awe right now thinking about this kind of like this situation that we're trying to be comfortable, right? We want to be comfortable, but the material world won't let us. It will always throw something at us. And our job is just like the string and the pearls is to stay. I am a servant of Krishna. I'm a servant of Srila Prabhupada. I'm a servant of Guru Maharaj. And, try to figure out how to traverse the different situations. So I'm really appreciating this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Would anybody else like to share something?
I like the ever fresh, the verse we were talking about, and you were elaborating on how Krishna's beauty is ever fresh, Krishna's service is ever fresh. That makes like spiritual life dynamic. Like Prabhupada says, Krishna means all attractive. So it's not like, we come and see the deity and like you're satisfied. No, it increases your thirst to see beauty, to experience loving reciprocation with the devotees. Like you have some absorption in devotional service that's, pleasing, so to speak. You feel reciprocation from Krishna's mercy that makes us hanker more. So it's like, the Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, the ever-increasing ocean, as I explained, that Krishna's beauty is ever-increasing, right? That's like the gopis, sorry to get esoteric, but I have to do that every time. Radharani's beauty itself is an offering to Krishna, right? She's known, her name itself, Radharani, means the best worshipper, Aradhana. So, and how is she pleasing Krishna? In unlimited ways, but one of them is that her body itself, the beauty, which is Madan Mohan Mohini, right? The material world is attractive. We're all attracted by the pleasures that may come, but then that's called Madan. Then Krishna is called Madan Mohan, one who's more attractive than the material energy. And Radharani is known as Madan Mohan Mohini, one who attracts the all-attractive. Radhakala Chanji Bhagavan ki. So this beauty of Krishna increases when she sees Krishna's satisfaction in seeing her beauty. Then her beauty increases, Krishna's pleasure increases, and this is the ever, fresh spiritual energy that is ever increasing. Just like Radhanath Swami said, that how does something that's unlimited eternally increase? It's already unlimited, but it's not only increasing, but it's unlimitedly, eternally increasing. And this is the, appeal or attraction of Krishna's body, his service, his devotees. Just like the verse I was talking about, where serve Krishna's with that friendly attitude. Basically, when Krishna says sadhavo hridayamayam, that the devotees, they are my heart. I'm in the heart of my devotees are in my heart. They don't know anything but me, I don't know anything but them, that beautiful verse. So when we are serving the devotees or serving with the devotees, then we are pleasing Krishna's heart. That's like the heart of the matter, right, they say. So just some thoughts about the ever freshness of Krishna's beauty, Krishna's service, Krishna's devotees.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. It reminded me of what I was thinking of earlier as I was walking to the temple. I was thinking just that our everyday life is ever exciting, Krishna consciousness ever fresh. And most people in the material world that have so-called made it, are successful, they're living for the weekend a lot of the time, or maybe they're living for the evenings a little bit, in the weekend. But we're living for the moment. We're living for every single moment that we get to serve Krishna. And yeah, it's nice if we can go on a trip or something once in a while, but we don't need that. That's not what we're living for. We're living for every single moment that we get to perform devotional service. So, Hare Krishna.
Little nugget that came to mind. Radhanath Swami said that, you know, how Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that time I am, right? The time itself, kala, is Krishna. So how we decide to associate with every moment is a direct decision of how we want to interact or reciprocate with Krishna. And like the more we see, oh, Krishna's time, that's an incarnation of Krishna, then we're choosing our, you know, spiritual attention wisely. Do we want to reciprocate with Krishna in a, you know, a devotional, loving way? And then it's, you know, we're directly associating with Krishna through choosing to engage in devotional service from moment to moment.
Jai, thank you very much. With that, we're at time. Krishna says, time I am. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.